We're in a very interesting spot when it comes to tax planning and tax strategy right now, in my opinion. I want to give this to you as an analogy, though, to help you understand where I think we're at. All right, this is my iPhone, okay? Everyone has seen an iPhone. A lot of people have had an iPhone, maybe not an iPhone, but a smartphone. But let's pretend just for a second that you have not owned a smartphone. You've heard about them, you're aware of what they are, but you've never held one, you've never used one for yourself, and you're not exactly sure everything that they can do. But there are people out there telling you that the iPhone is an amazing thing. It will transform your life. It's going to save you a ton of time. It might even save you some money. It's got not only the ability to make calls, but you can send messages. You can get your email on it, your calendar on it. You can go to the internet. You can use it as a camera and take photos. You can do video calls on it live with people across the world. And this sounds amazing. It is absolutely a modern miracle. But again, you've never actually held one. You haven't seen it for yourself. All you've seen are people out there telling you how amazing it is. And you know that there are people out there selling this amazing tool for $10,000. And that seems super expensive, but the way that it can transform your life and the capabilities that it has sounds like it's worth it if you can afford it. Then there are other people out there and they've got what looks like the same thing and they're selling it for $200. And you're wondering, how in the world is that possible? Now, the people who are selling it for $10,000 will tell you that those selling it for $200 have no clue how to operate it. It might not work quite right. So it's technically not quite the same product, even though it looks like the same phone, it's got the same name. It maybe has the same capabilities, but they're not as much of an expert when it comes to setting it up, connecting it to your email, to your calendar, to your home, and it's not going to operate quite the same way if you go with them. You're not super familiar with the iPhone. You've never seen one up close. You don't know exactly where to get one from, but this makes a lot of sense that if something's that valuable and someone's selling it for that cheap, there's got to be something wrong. Your sensors are going off. This has to be a scam or something. You can't be selling it for that cheap. But what you're probably unaware of is that there are thousands of Apple stores out there that are selling the iPhone. They're selling them for $1,000. Even though there are thousands of them and only a couple hundred of the people selling it for $10,000, you still don't seem to be quite aware of those selling it for $1,000. You also might be a little skeptical of them too. Yes, $1,000 is a lot more than $200. So maybe that's a reasonable price. But if I can get it for $1,000, how in the world are there people out there actually selling it for $10,000 and finding people to pay that for it? In this example, we know that the place you want to buy that iPhone from is the Apple Store. It's the Apple Store selling it for $1,000. They've got the right product, it's quality, it's not a knockoff, it's the real thing. They know exactly how to operate it, they can help you set it up, and you're going to get exactly what you want for $1,000. You don't have to pay the $10,000, and the guy selling it for $200, it probably is a scam or not going to work right. We know this, we're going to go to the Apple Store, we're going to buy it from Apple. Now, of course, in this example, you might buy a used phone and get it for cheaper and it worked just fine. That's not exactly the point of the example. But if you're looking for a brand new phone, you know that $200, that's probably not right. $10,000, okay, the phone actually, it is going to do everything they say it's going to do. And if you have a ton of money and you think that it's worth $10,000, you're going to get what you pay for and you might find it worth that amount. But if you can get it for less, the exact same thing, why would you pay the extra? There's nothing illegal about the person selling it for $10,000. That person is probably just exploiting the fact that you're unaware of the Apple Store. You're not sure that there is an Apple Store. You haven't really seen the Apple Store. You haven't come across it. Maybe you're a little skeptical even of the Apple Store. And so they're able to sell it to a certain amount of people. Not everybody, not the mass market, but they're able to sell that iPhone for $10,000 to a certain amount of people. And they get what they wanted and they're happy. So I'm not saying that that's illegal. I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything inherently wrong with that. I'm just saying for the most of you, that's not the path you're going to take. You're going to walk into the Apple Store or go to apple.com and buy the iPhone from a qualified person and get exactly what you wanted for a better value. It's still not cheap. It's worth a lot of money and it's a valuable product. This is exactly where I think we are with tax planning and tax strategy. There are people out there selling normal strategies. Let's take the S Corp election, for example. They're selling these normal strategies and they're putting together a tax plan, and not just maybe one strategy, but they're talking to you about your specific situation, and they're putting a plan together for you, and they are saving you a ton of taxes. And they might show you the value of those savings over a multiple year period, and then their fee of 10 or 15 or 20 or $25,000 is minimal compared to the value that they're delivering to you. That's absolutely true. And then there are people out there who don't quite know what they're doing. They're doing it for barely anything, and they've got the same strategies, but it might not actually apply in your situation. They're just applying it to everybody, saying that this will save everyone money. But then there's the Apple Store. There's the vast majority of professionals who are charging a fair and reasonable rate for the value that they deliver. So it isn't cheap, it's not inexpensive, but it's also not this exorbitant 10 or 20 or multiple tens of thousands of dollars in fees. It's maybe $2,500, maybe up to $5,000. Again, this is specific, so it's gonna vary a little bit. My point is that there's a ton of professionals out there who know exactly how to do this. They know to look at your specific situation, make sure that the strategy fits, make sure that they're giving you the strategies that are right for you, and they're charging reasonable rates. Yes, it's absolutely worth more than, if it takes 2 hours, it's worth more than $400 at $200 per hour for a 2-hour job because of the value that's being delivered. Is it worth 10 or 15,000? Maybe, if you can't find it, the exact same thing at a better rate. And you can. The vast majority of advisors are charging more reasonable fees than $10, $15, or $25,000 to put these plans together. Now, I get it. Those who are charging those fees are going to tell me that I'm crazy, that I'm leaving money on the table, that what I'm doing is more valuable. But for a couple of hours of work, $2,500, $5,000, I mean, that's pretty reasonable in my opinion. I'm not out here trying to make $1 billion. I'm not out here trying to work 2 hours a week and make $300,000 a year. I'm trying to do an honest job, give great value, and make a reasonable fee. I happen to think that the majority of qualified advisors are in the same spot as me, but that's what I want to know. You let me know. Tell me in the comments, am I crazy? Am I not charging nearly enough? I'm hurting the industry. I should be charging more. Do you think I'm charging way too much and I should be doing it at just the hourly rate for how much time it takes? I'm never going to agree with you on that one because of all the time that goes into learning this stuff. It's not about how long it takes you to do it. So I do absolutely agree with charging for the value. I've got education, I've got time, I've got so much invested in this. And the fact that I can get more and more efficient with my work and do it in less and less time simply because I'm getting better and better at it, you shouldn't be penalized for getting better and more efficient at your job. So an hourly rate makes absolutely no sense. You need to charge for value. But I don't think it's in that $10,000, $15,000 range. I think it's in that $2,500 to $5,000 range. And again, this is going to vary. Yes, there are plans that are worth that much. I'm talking about for the typical person who needs maybe an S corporation, maybe max out their retirement, set up an HSA account, and some more general planning, Roth conversions, things like that, that could be in that $2,500 to $5,000 range, not the $10,000, $15,000, or $25,000 that some people are charging. Again, let me know what you think.